everybody. Today I'm going to show you how to set up a Google site that you can use in your virtual learning platform. In our school we're using Schoology, but with the Google site it actually creates a website that you can just share the link with your students, and so we'll be putting most of our information on there. The nice thing about Google is it gives you 15 gigabytes of free storage space. So the one thing you will need to have in order to participate and continue on is to make sure that you are signed into Google and have set yourself up with with Google Drive. All right, let's get started. So the resources brings you to, it's called Google Site Design Resources. And inside of this site, or inside of the resources, I have three different things. One, what we're working on today is going to be called My Favorite Artist. So it's a lesson that I have thought of that can work two ways. The first way that I'm going to introduce today would be a way for, as you, the teacher, to introduce your favorite artist to the students and have them create an artwork based on the artist or the style or whatever information that you choose to present. Now, the second way would be that if you get comfortable building sites and you wanted to teach your students to build a site, would be for them to build a website based on their favorite artist. So the two documents that I have here that you're going to be using, the first one is the MFA for My Favorite Artist resources. And inside of this document, I have tried to put most of the text that we're going to be using to put inside of our website so that you don't have to actually type it out. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and leave this document open. It opened in another tab here. All right, and I'm going to click back on my Google Drive tab. And the other document that I have in here is the MFA, or the My Favorite Artist student syllabus. And I'll double click and open that up just so you can take a look at it. Now this one you don't need to edit or change or anything right now. This is a document that we are going to add into the website. Now the nice thing about having a document, and this is a Google document, it is stored on my Google Drive. I created it online through the Google Drive using Google Docs, which I'll show you here in just a minute. But the nice thing about this is that if for some reason I wanted to make adjustments to this document and I had already put it inside of my website, the document will be updated inside of the website. So I don't have to go back and update it in both places. So clicking back on the tab for our resources, I also have the website images. And there's a folder in here to give you a little bit of choice for one of the images that we're going to be putting in. And then since my favorite artist is Van Gogh, I have quite a few pictures here that we're going to use that we'll want to get to easily. So let's get started. First of all, if you're not familiar with Google Drive, you have over here on the far right your icon, whatever you set up for your Google account. So if you just set one up and hadn't given it an image, then it may not be there. And then these 9 little dots in the form of a square gives you quick links to different things that Google has available to you. So here we have the Google Drive icon. So if I were just signed in through Chrome, Chrome being a Google family type thing, you'll see these little dots here and you can quickly just go to your drive. All right, so we are in our drive right now, and back over here to the far left, we have this new button. Make sure you're in My Drive, and we're going to click on New. And as you can see, a lot of these things are the typical, most frequently used items. Scroll down here to More, and you'll see some other options here. If you haven't played with Google Maps, definitely take a moment and play with that sometime. It allows you to make an interactive map and put some of your own spots and destinations on it. Could be a really cool thing to input into a site at some point. But for right now, we are going to go to Google Sites. So click on Google Sites, and it is going to create a tab and bring up your untitled site. So the very first thing I want us to do up here is in the very top left corner, we're going to give this a title. So we're going to call this For right now, my favorite artist. Okay, tab will accept that, and you notice it automatically puts it there on the page. First thing we want to do before we do anything else is go ahead and set up what we want this page to look like. All right, so we start out with a banner here. We have this banner. It's got just a gray background on it. So to make it more interesting, we want to, first, let's take a look at what the header types are, but then we're going to change the image. So for header types, you have something, a cover fills a whole bunch of the page. Large banner shrinks it a little bit. Smaller banner, this is the one I like because I really don't want to have a whole bunch of non-useful information on here. And then title only takes the picture out completely. I don't like that. I really like having a little bit of a picture here. All right, so we're going to go back just the regular banner there. Little toggle arrow takes us back to this regular one. Now I want to change the image. So I have the option to upload an image or to select an image. Uploading an image would bring in an image that you might have stored on your actual computer. Selecting an image will give you the option of choosing from something that you have on your Google Drive, the gallery that is already created within Google Sites, searching Google, or if you have some albums within your Google Drive. So what I want to do for right here, first of all, you can quickly kind of look through. These are the things that would allow you to very easily just plug some color and some interest in there. For us, I want us to go to Google Drive, and you're going to go into that folder that is under Shared with Me, okay? Now that folder that is shared with me, you'll find it under Shared with Me. Mine is actually going to be in my drive. So I'm going to navigate to, this is the Google Site Design Resources, and that's the folder that should be in your Shared with Me section up here. So I double click on this. I'm gonna bring up my website images because you don't see the other two options there because they were documents. We're looking simply for images. And within these images, I am going to choose Vincent van Gogh's Irises. So we're going to select Irises. You'll notice it's light blue at the bottom. We're going to select this blue select button down here. And it is going to put the irises automatically back there in the banner. You'll also notice that it got kind of dark. Maybe you saw these little stars over here twinkling just a little bit. I don't like it getting really dark. Sometimes you want that, but I want Van Gogh's irises to be nice and bright. So this is a readability type adjustment here. So I'm going to click on this and take that off so that I have this nice, vibrant picture here. All right, so you'll notice we have a reset button here. So if you wanted to change that out or just go back to what it was before, you could use that reset button. You also have two buttons up here, which is undo your last action and redo your last action. So if you wanted to quickly undo or completely reset, there are your options there. All right, this little trash can over here on the far left, you could just completely delete the header here. And this area right here, you'll notice when we add some more items, this area over here to the left of your section is going to give you some more options as we add more sections here. So once we have established our page the way we like it, the next thing that we want to do is we want to figure out what our theme is. It's a good idea to go ahead and do this before you start adding a whole bunch of information on your web page, simply because when we go and paint and create more pages, we want that theme to follow through. So we want to go ahead and set it up right now. If you look over here to the right, this is going to be your site toolbar. You have three sections to it. Insert. Under Insert, you have, these are all different parts that you can put into your website. And I'll be going over a lot of these different parts as we start working on designing the web page. Then you have pages. For right now, we only have our home page, and this was automatically created when you created your site. It's called home right now, but when we start adding other pages, I'll demonstrate for you how you can change it if you don't want to call it home. Lastly, we have themes. Now, once we set up our theme, as far as consistency goes with your website, this is a site-wide theme that you're setting up. So that's why we want to do it first. You can play with some of the different ones here to kind of see which one that you want. And for this, you can use whichever one you want to use. I used Impression. And I'll show you kind of what I like about Impression. Now, most of these do give you the option on changing the colors and things. For Impression, I liked that it gives me, I like that I've got some stuff that's in all caps. All right. Now, the reason it's important for themes and why we do it now is that as you add your subpages, it's going to use that same theme. So you want to decide what you want and what you like and stick to it. If you change your mind and change the theme later on, it will go through and it'll change the theme throughout your entire site. Now, if we're just talking about the picture that we put back here behind the banner, you can change that, but still keep the same theme. So once we pick this theme, we want to be kind of consistent with it and not change our minds. So you'll notice here for Impression that this kind of peachy, reddy, red-orange kind of color here is bar that we have right here. I don't really think that matches. I could select some of these predetermined colors that they have there, or looking at this little dripping paint icon here, I could choose something different. I want to choose something different here. And what I would like to choose is kind of a dark blue color. Now, what's nice about this in your choices, and that I will show you here in just a moment, is that the changing of this color right here also is going to determine how some of your headings and backgrounds look for the rest of your page, right? So this is the theme that I want to go with. I'm going to come back over here to Pages, and we are going, I'm going to come back over here to Insert, and we're going to start designing our first page. So within this first page, let's start with our title. Just like in your any kind of document editing that you do, a lot of those same shortcuts are going to work right here. So triple click, selected all of my text there, and I'm going to title this My Favorite Artist, Vincent van Gogh. Right? And very quickly, some editing notes here. You'll notice in this blue box, I know it's kind of hard to see with his irises back there, but I've got two blue circles here. Those two blue circles, you'll notice my cursor changes a little bit. I can use those two blue circles to resize this box. Okay? I could also, if I had it like this, I could pick this up and drag it around. All right, so I want to have it more centered, so I'm just going to kind of make that a little bit big, and I'm going to pick it up and try to get it centered a little bit. There we go. Let's see. Sort of centered there. All right, so our title, our banner, all of that is set up. Now we are going to start adding things to our website. All right. Now, just so we can have something to look at here, this is the website that I've already created that we are going to recreate. So on the first page, our home page, we've already created this banner portion. We're going to put in a quote. We're going to put in a divider bar. We're going to put in some text, our syllabus, and then we're going to create 4 links. These 4 links are going to represent our 4 sub pages. And these 4 links also represent the different assignments on our syllabus that the students will go about doing. So I have a day 1, a day 2, a day 3. These are the introductory assignments leading up to days 4 through 8, which will be actually creating either a conceptual idea for an artwork or making the artwork. Kind of depends on if we are actually in school or doing this virtually without many supplies. All right, so this is the page we are creating. So I'm going to click back over here to my website that I'm designing. All right, and you can tell by the icon, that little dark blue icon looks just like this. Will let you know in your tabs across your web page which page you're on. All right, so we're going to start with these items over here in our toolbar. The first thing that we had on that website was some text. So I'm going to start with these first 4 right here at the top. They are probably the most frequently used items. All right. Then we have a section of layouts, some things that are already pre-designed for us. And then we have a whole list of different extras and things that we can add to our website that may not be used as frequently. But still some very interesting and engaging type things we can put in there. All right, so we're going to start with the text box. So I'm going to click on the text box, and you'll notice that it added in this section here. And you can see on the far left, I've got these 3 icons here. The first icon is for the background. That's going to allow me to adjust the background color and image. This one will duplicate this section. And the last one will delete it, okay? So I'm gonna start by putting in a quote here. Now this is where that resources document that I showed you earlier, we're gonna click on the tab for the resources document. That's why I left it open. And at the top of this document, I have some quotes here. So I'm going to choose, I'm going to choose this one here at the bottom. I'm going to copy that, so Command C or Control C if you've got a PC. I'm going to come back over here to my working site. I've got my cursor already in there. If you've clicked off of it and it's not blinking at you, just click back in it again. Command V will paste that, or Control V. Again, a lot of your shortcuts that you use in any other place work on the site as well. So a lot of times when I copy and paste from that document, it adjusts my formatting a little bit, so I want to delete those extra spaces. I also want to put in Vincent van Gogh so that we know who said the quote. Okay, now it's time to do a little bit of editing here. Right here, you can see that this text box came in with normal text. I would like to change this to be a subheading here. Okay, now you'll notice it only changed the name. So if I highlight everything, change it to subheading, then I get the entire thing highlighted. Okay, I'm going to make this bold because it's just a small quote there. And I would like to make it centered. Now, I don't think that I want Van Gogh to be bold. And I believe I would like his to be italicized. And I want to move it over just a little bit. So I'm going to use a space bar to do that. Okay, so right there, I am pretty happy with the size of my text and that. What I don't want and what I do want to change is the background here. So I'm going to use this little palette from these selections that we have on the far left. I'm going to click on that palette. And what you're going to notice is you have regular. That's what it is right now. I have emphasis 1, emphasis 2, and I have image. So let's start with emphasis 1. Emphasis 1 changes the background here to kind of a gray color. Now, depending upon what color I chose here in my theme, this is what's determining what's happening in the background. If I had chosen something more in the neutral kind of browns family or warm kind of colors, I would have gotten more of a beige type color here. Because I have more of the cool colors, I have a gray color right here. All right, so that was emphasis 1. You also notice that my text here in emphasis 1 was the same color as that bar, that color that I picked out within my theme. Now, when I do this, one other thing to point out is that normally you get the colored text with title and heading and subheading. Again, sometimes that changes just a little bit. All right. Now, if I look over here, let's take a look at what emphasis 2 does. Emphasis 2 changes it so that the background color is that color I chose in my theme, right? And then I have the reverse of it in my text. So I would like to have some of these bold colors at the beginning and end of my page. So I'm going to leave this quote here in this bold emphasis 2. But let me talk about the image. If you wanted to put an image in here, just like we did for the banner, this is where you could do that. Putting too many images right next to each other, I think it tends to make it a little bit busy, and sometimes simplest is best. So I'm just going to leave this at emphasis 2 with this bold color right here. All right, I don't need to duplicate this section. All right, but if I did, I get exactly the same thing. So if you had done some special formatting, maybe put a picture in there and some text, and you'd made all of the changes to the subtitle and made all of that, and all you wanted to do was change the picture, that would be a good reason to duplicate, right? But this gives us the opportunity to also use this third button here. So while I've got this blue line around it and I'm in this section, I can hit the delete button and it goes away. All right, so looking back over here at the site that we are trying to recreate, the next thing I have is this bar. So going back over to my website, we're going to scroll down and you're going to see this thing that says divider. All right, so we're going to click on divider and that puts in that bar right there. Okay, now our next option, we are going to add some things in and see how we can manipulate them just a little bit before we move into using a pre-designed layout. So there's two things that I have next. I have a amount of text and I have a document. All right, so going back to the site that we're working with, we are going to click on text. All right, you'll notice that it puts a text box all the way across your what's going to be your visible website screen. Okay, I'm just going to leave that alone for right now. I also know that I want to put in a document. Okay, so if I click on document right here, what it's going to do is it's going to bring up the documents that I have in my drive. All right, so it's bringing up recent. I can choose how I look at it here. You should be able to, it should be under there for your student syllabus, right? But I can see the entire, so when I'm looking at it, I get more of a picture versus more of a list. So since you have opened some of these documents already, they should show up under recent. If not, you can click on search and do a search in Drive Okay, so right now mine is showing up. I'm going to choose this student syllabus right here. All right, I get the light blue and the dark blue outline around it. It says insert down at the bottom, and I'm going to choose insert. Okay. Now that document came in really large here. I actually don't want it this large, and I want it to be in the same section with my text here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shrink this a little bit. Okay. And I'm going to, so I've got my icon is turned on to this square looking thing, which is actually like 4 directional arrows. I'm going to click and I'm going to drag it. Well, let's try that again. Click and drag. Now you see that dark blue line that's showing up? Wherever that dark blue line shows up is going to tell you where it's going to go in relationship to the text box. So right now, it would be going under the text box. I could move it to be above the text box. If I move it a little bit towards the left, it would be the left of the text box. And then I can also move it to be towards the right of the text box. So I want to put this to the right of the text box. Okay. You'll also note I'm still going to have to do a little bit of editing here. My text box was pretty big. It shrunk the size of my syllabus. This is really not very user-friendly like it is right now. So I'm going to manipulate the size of my text box over here, and I can then manipulate the size of my document here. It's not necessary for them to be able to see the entire document. There's going to be 2 options that they have here. Option number 1, when they actually preview the site, which I'll show you in a moment, this document is scrollable when you're looking at the website live, right? You also have this little icon right here, a little box with an arrow. When you click on that box with an arrow, and I can do that from right here, it opens this document in a new window so that they can see it much larger. I'm going to go ahead and close that. So there's 2 options there. So you don't have to worry about making this document right now on your home page looking really, really large. Right? So I'm going to leave it at this size right now, and I want to come back over here to this text box, and I want to put the text in here that I've already written out for you. So we're going to go to the resources Google Doc. And within here, if you scroll down to the bottom, this is the same page you grabbed your quote from. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, and here's where I have put some of the text. So we have home page, and then here is the text for the home page. So I'm going to select this text. I'm going to do Control or Command C to copy the text. I'm going to go back over here to the tab for the site that I'm working on and do Command or Control V to paste the text. And then I'm going to take the extra spaces out. And again, I may want to do a little editing to this text and change it to subheading. So we make it a little bit bigger. Maybe I prefer to have it in inline, kind of centered in there. And then now we can look at it in relationship to this syllabus here. Okay, so I think I'm going to make the syllabus a little bit shorter so that it matches more about the height of my text, right? Now I'm going to go over here to my background, and I'm going to put it on emphasis 1. I kind of like the soft grays on the background, and it makes my document stand out a little bit better there. All right, so when we're comparing it to the site we're trying to recreate, here we have our site. We've got the bar that we put in, we've got the text, we've got the document. Now it's time for us to put in these pictures. We're going to deal with the pictures and the text first, and then we'll talk about how we turn those into links. So going back to the site that we're working with, we are going to now use one of the layouts that they have here for us to use. Now, the nice thing about the layouts, you can kind of get an idea of what you're going to get just by looking at the pictures. So we have this big box with a mountain and a sun in it. Then you have this bolder, darker line that's probably telling you that it's going to be some kind of a heading or subheading or title type. This mountain box is telling you that it's going to be some kind of an image. Now this actually comes in as a, can be multiple things. Most people associate this icon with an image. Then you have these light gray lines representing smaller text. All right, so you can kind of make out what your choices are here. All of these layouts are editable. So just to show you real quick, I'm going to put in this one that has 2 pictures on it. You'll notice that when it comes in right here, when I hover over this, it is putting a blue line around both what would represent a picture, large text, and small text. If I wanted to edit or get rid of single pieces, I just need to click on it enough to select those single pieces, right? So let's say I put something like this in, and what I really want is a picture on one side and text on the other side. I could decide I want my picture to be on the right, so I don't need the picture here. I select just this part, click on delete. Okay, now I have just the text. And then over here, I want just the picture, but I don't want the text. So again, I get these options, little trash can there, gets rid of that text. Maybe I want to leave some more on there. So even though you choose one of these layouts here, doesn't mean that you still can't work with it and edit it. So that also includes changing the shape and size of the image holder here, or placeholder here. Okay, so we're not going to use this one, so I'm going to delete that section. What we are going to use, it's already in here, I've got 4 buttons that I want to create from pictures, so I'm going to put in the layout right here that has these 4 spaces already created for me. Now there are multiple ways that we can bring in a picture. So first I want to click and have just this picture button selected. Okay, now I also could just come in, and if I just hit the plus sign, it's going to give me the option. Right, so when I hit the plus sign, I get choices of upload, select image, from Drive, YouTube, calendar, and map. The reason for that is because this is actually a placeholder and not just necessarily for an image. Okay, so this placeholder I want to put an image into. So I'm going to select image here. And this is going to bring up this box here, all right, that allows me to look at recent. Okay, now because I've been working on this recently, all the images that I want to look at are right here, okay? Or I could go to my Drive and I could navigate to where my pictures are. So I'm working my Google Site Design, there's my images, and I get there. Or you guys can click on the shared with me, and that would be an easy way to get to where these pictures are. So this first link is going to introduce us and the students to a little bit of biography about Vincent van Gogh and Starry Night. So I'm going to use the Starry Night image, light blue on there, dark blue line around it, and the insert button right here lets me know what I'm putting in. So I'm going to click on insert. Okay. Now, one thing to notice, we've got some buttons up here that came up, and I'm going to be going over, and we will be using them, but right now we don't want to. This button right here allows us to crop. Okay. This button allows us to uncrop. This one we'll be using when we create links, and this gets rid of the image. Okay, these little 3 buttons here allow us to change the image out, select a different image, or add some text to it. A lot of times this alternate text, that's in case you have somebody who is maybe visually impaired, and it'll read it to them if you tell them that's a picture of Starry Night. Okay, that's always a nice thing to do, but not something I'm going to add to this right now. All right, so the reason I don't want to use the crop or the uncrop is because I would like to keep the same size boxes. It came in here, all of these little placeholder boxes are already the size, and I want to keep them consistent. We will work with, and I will show you what those buttons will do a little bit later on. Okay, so I have put in Van Gogh's Starry Night right down there. The text that's going to go with this one is Day 1. Starry Night. Okay, and now we're going to move over to our next button here. I'm going to click on this. So now, if we did select image before, select image opened up that window, big window right inside of our screen here. If I say from Drive, I'm going to be able to use the toolbar over here on the right-hand side. They essentially are giving me pretty much the same things. So I have my Drive where I can navigate to where all my stuff is. I have Shared with Me, which for you guys is probably the easiest one to use. And I have Recent, which is going to have all of the images and things that I have worked with recently. Now, the next one is going to be using a video that is incorporates a little bit of math with Van Gogh's Starry Night. So this image right here, I used a screenshot from the video itself to get this image. So we've selected it, light blue, dark blue line around it. Click on Insert. Okay, again, I'm not going to adjust that anything. We're going to change the text to say Day 2. This is going to be Math and Van Gogh. Right. We're going to come over here. I'm going to do the same thing for our other image right here. Click on that. I'm just going to do from Drive. I'm going to look at my recent images. And the third day is going to deal with Japonism and Van Gogh. So I want to find Van Gogh's Almond Blossoms. Select that and put it in. Change the text here to say Day 3, Japonism. All right, I'm going to go over to 4. And again, you can work from either Select Image or from Drive. I'm just going to work from Drive. And I have a third way I'm going to show you when we get to the third page here. So I want to go to Recent. And for you, what I would like for you, actually, we're going to go to My Drive. If you are looking inside of your Drive, you have a couple of options here for this one. Wanted to give you some different things here. So this is where the conceptual art folder comes into play. Inside of this conceptual art folder, I've picked out several pictures that have to do with thinking and brainstorming and stuff like that. This is the meat of what I want the students to be doing here. So I am going to choose this Think Outside the Box image and insert it there. And the text for this is going to say Days 4 through 8. And this is going to be Art, Work, Concept. Okay, so we have here our 4 images along with a little text. I'm going to go to the background here, put it to emphasis 1, so it's a little bit gray. And the last thing I want to add to finish out just the look of this page is going to be a dark bar. Okay, I just want it to kind of look like an end. So this is just really more of visual design for your page itself. So I'm going to put in a text box. All right, and I'm going to come over here to my palette and I'm going to change it to emphasis 2. I'm not actually going to write anything in that text box. Okay, now this page is essentially finished except for creating our links. But before we go, I want to show you and talk to you about these little dots here on the side here. So you have these 3 icons that will allow you to duplicate or adjust the background or completely get rid of the section. But these little dots that are just inside of the section, they allow you to actually move the section around. So if you can see that blue line coming up, I could rearrange and move these sections around, and wherever that blue line ends up tells me where that section is going to go. So if I wanted to put my links above, I could move them around, okay? So that sometimes helps to be able to easily create the look of your site. All right, so the next thing that we need to do is actually create some subpages before we add the links. So that'll be the next section that we move on to. All right, so now we are ready to create our subpages. And we want to go ahead and create our subpages before we create the links here. And that will become, the reasoning for that will become apparent as we do it. So we're going to go over here to our toolbar. We've used a lot of the things on insert. I mentioned pages when we went through what these were. We've already used themes, so we're going to click on pages here. All right, so you notice that our home page is here. When we hover over home, we get these 3 dots over on the far right. Click on those 3 dots, and you have the option to duplicate the page, properties, or add a subpage. Properties simply brings up the option to rename what this page is called. So if you don't want it to be called home, you could rename it right here. Advanced simply is if you had a specific web address that you were putting in there. We're not using that for right now, okay? So we're gonna leave it saying home, or at least I am, all right? And then I'm gonna click on these buttons again because what we do want to use is add a sub page, okay? So we're gonna click on add sub page, and we're gonna title this Day 1 Starry Night. And we're gonna click on done here, okay? You'll notice that it brought it in. Our theme is the same. The background is the same. We don't have to go through and change any of that. It was part of why we wanted to do our themes early on. All right, now I want to add some more sub pages. It's very important though that I don't click on the sub page from the sub page I just made. I can, but that's going to create that page somewhere where I don't want it. So we really want to keep our placing of this. It'll just make it easier for navigation. All right, so we're going to come back up here to home. We're going to go to the 3 dots associated with home, and we're going to add another subpage. And this one is going to be titled Day 2, Math and Van Gogh. And we're going to click on done. You'll start to notice that these are directly related to the 4 pictures that we put on our home page. So subpage 3 is going to be Day 3, and it is going to be Japonism. And again, making sure we're going to the dots at home, we're going to add a subpage, and this is going to be days 4 through 8. Artwork concepts, and done. Okay, now as you looked at all those, it showed you that they all came in, they were all automatically titled. Okay, they all brought in the theme, the background. Okay, we will be editing each one of these pages in a few minutes. Right now we're going to go back to home. Okay, and the thing we need to do to finish completely this home page is we need to make these 4 pictures active links. So I'm going to click on this. Notice again, it selects all of it. If it selects all of it, I cannot make a link from both the picture and the text. I need to click on just the picture. Now I have these options that we talked about earlier, okay? We want to use this option that looks like a paperclip. It says insert link. We're going to click on that insert link. And you have the option here. If this were going to be an external web page, we would have copied and pasted the link and we would put it right here. We're going to do that later. But what we are doing now is we are simply making these links to those sub pages we've already created. So they're all right here. Okay, so day 1 starry night matches up with day 1 starry night. Select that one, click on apply. I've got it down here, it's underlined and it's darkened, so that kind of lets me know that that is my good link. All right, if I wanted to edit it, brings me right back up there again, okay? So now I'm going to click on my second image here. Again, make sure you're selecting just the image. Click on the paperclip looking symbol. This is going to go to day 2. Click on apply. Hope you got the hang of it here. We're going to click on our third picture. Paperclip, day 3 Japanism, apply. Fourth picture, make sure it's just the picture, paperclip icon, scroll down there to days 4 through 8, and apply. All right, so now our home page is completely finished. You'll notice now that when we've created these subpages that up here we have a navigational section. Now I'm going to show you a little bit later on how to get rid of that if you don't like it. But from here, we could navigate to any of these 4 pages. So let's take a look at what this looks like. I mentioned earlier that you could undo your last action and then redo it. And then we have this little icon right here for preview. So if we click on this preview icon, it's going to open up our web page and we can take a look at what it actually will look like on the web. All right. So when we put this document in here, remember I said it would be scrollable. Okay, so I'm using 2 fingers on my trackpad and I'm able to scroll through this. I also said that this little icon here with the box and the arrow, which I've already demonstrated what it looks like, but when you click on this, it opens the document in a new tab. All right, we've also created these 4 pictures, which since we have attached a link to them, you can go ahead and click on them to make sure that they work. All right, now we haven't designed these pages yet, so in order to get back, you'll have to use that navigation up there at the top. Okay, so the top button there that you can kind of barely see says home, so we go back there and you can, this is a good way to check to make sure that your navigation actually works. And from here, you could check on any of them. Okay, so we're gonna go back to the home page. The next nice thing about being able to preview, especially in Google Sites, is this gives you the options of looking at what your web page looks like on a cell phone, a tablet, and then on the computer. So using this little toolbar down here at the bottom, we can click on the phone and here you have a look at what your web page would look like on somebody's cell phone. All right, you can take a look at what it would look like on a tablet. And then of course back to the computer. Okay, and we're going to exit our preview. So now we are back on our page that we're editing. Okay, so home page is finished. Now we're going to go over, and while we're still on pages here, we're going to click on day 1 starry night. All right, and I want to start adding the content onto this sub page. So I'm going to click on insert from the toolbar. And let's take a look at what we want to put on this first page here. Okay, so you'll notice that I have on this one page, I've actually changed the picture in our bar at the top so that we have starry night. Felt like that was appropriate. So, and then we have a little bit of text. We have some collapsible text, which I'm going to demonstrate how to put that in. Nice thing about that is when you have long runs of information, it doesn't give you a long scrollable web page. So this is actually not a very long web page, but I do have 3 sections here of collapsible text, right? We have one external link button here as well as a home button. So we'll be creating buttons in this one as well. So the things that we're adding to this page that we haven't used on our home page is collapsible text and adding buttons. Okay, so let's go back to the page we're editing, and we're going to start by changing this image. Okay, so I'm going to choose select an image. I'm going to use my Google Drive here, which lets me see my recent items. And I want to choose Starry Night. Again, you could look in your shared drive, and your shared drive should have all of these pictures already set up for you. Okay, notice again, twinkling stars, adjusting for readability. I really don't like it getting real dark. It does make the text a little bit easier to read, but I like the vibrant look of Starry Night here. Okay, so now my heading banner at the top is complete, and I'm going to put in a text box. Now, in this text box was some information telling the reader how to get to that collapsible text. So I've already written this out for you. Go to your resources document. We're going to look on day 1, page text, and we're going to copy this text right here. So Command or Control C. Go back to the tab where you're working on your website and Command or Control V. And you want to format this text to something that you like. I'm going to center it. I'm going to change it to a subheading. And I'm going to make this kind of that bold emphasis too. This is going to keep a little bit of consistency with my home page that I've kind of already established here. All right, so the next thing that I want to do is I'm going to put in some collapsible text. In order to do that, this is one of those extra things that are towards the bottom of your toolbar on the right. It's the first one. It says collapsible text. So we're just going to click on collapsible text. And right in here, the first thing we're putting in is the biography. All right, got the biography. Now I want to put this text. Now this is a long amount of text. So if you go back to that resources document, and I believe I have this text closer up to the top. Yep, there's Starry Night. All right, and here's the biography right here. So I want you to copy from where it says birth year all the way down to that last paragraph right above where it says Starry Night. Command or Control C. Go back over to the tab where you're working on your editable site. Again, if you have lost your bar, click and make sure that your cursor is inside of that normal text, and Command or Control V will paste all my text there. Now, a lot of times when you're copying, pasting, it does a little extra spacing here. So if you want to get rid of that, just take a minute and go back in there and get rid of some of those extra spaces. And just a couple more here. All right, so now I have all of that text in there. Okay, and click on the outside. So the information here, clicking the V, this is that little toggle that opens it up. Click outside of it to close it. All right, and we are going to, let's see, you want to get that little icon to show up. Don't know why sometimes when I'm in there it doesn't show up, but click off of it and then just hover back your cursor back over there. Little palette symbol, and I'm going to change this one to emphasis 1. So my text becomes colored text and I have the gray background here. All right, next thing to add into this one, again, is another section of collapsible text. All right, and this text is going to be called, let's see, what did I call that? Starry Night, the story. Okay, so we're going to go back to, we're going to call this Starry Night, the story. All right, and we need to go back to our resource document. Okay, here we've got Starry Night, and we're going to start with just underneath the story of Starry Night. So I'm going to put my cursor there and stop before the work. Command C or Control C copies that, going back to our tab with our website, and Command V for paste. Get rid of those extra spaces at the bottom. Okay, and then all that's left on this one again is to set the background. Okay, so now the last part that is the text in here is actually somebody writing about the work and really doing a great job of describing it. So if any of you are having issues like I sometimes have of getting students to really expand on their thinking, use thoughtful sentences, lots of vocabulary, be descriptive, all of that, I wanted to put in a text box that kind of asks them to really think about those kind of things as they read somebody else's description of a piece of artwork. So I'm going to put in a text box at the bottom using our text over here on the toolbar. And I'm going to go back to our Google Docs resources page. And I want to go down to the bottom where I have the text here again for day 1. So this second paragraph is the information that I want them to think about before they read about the work. So we're going to copy that text and we're going to paste it in there. And because I want this to stand out, I'm going to change this to a subheading. I kind of like it center formatted. And I want this to be emphasis 2. I want them to get a little break here. I want them to stop. I want them to read this and pay close attention to how somebody else is describing this work. All right, so the next thing that goes underneath here is our third thing of collapsible text. And this one is going to be called, whoops, click inside of there, Starry Night, the work. Right. And we're going to go back to our resources document. And we're going to go back up here to the part that talks about the work. I'm going to start with, notice right there, copy that whole section, Control or Command C, back over to the tab with my web page, paste it in the text box, and fix any kind of formatting I have going on there that I didn't like. Okay, so change the background, emphasis 1, so that it matches what I have going on in the others. All right, what's next here? Lastly, as far as the assignment goes, they're doing all of the research here, and then what I'm wanting them to do that they would have read on their syllabus is to go to the gallery, the Van Gogh Gallery, which is an external website, and I want them to find some pictures of artwork, and the assignment's going to be posted in Schoology, which is our online learning platform. And so I will have created an assignment inside of Schoology, but I've made sure and made a point here that I want them to be saving pictures of 3 artworks and make sure that they notate and gather the information on the title, the media, the date, where its current location is, and then they're going to be providing me also with what they found interesting about it. So their assignment is going to be to explore now the work of Vincent van Gogh. So we're going to go back over to our main website here. Okay, and we are going to, one thing I find a little annoying is when we start to work with and add buttons for the when we have the collapsible text, because sometimes when we move the button around, it makes us scroll through all that text. So we need a couple of things here. First, we're going to need a text box. All right, and I'm going to go back over to my document. I'm going to scroll down here to this information here. Which is the text about using the resources. I'm going to copy that text back over here, and I'm going to paste it in there. Format it how you like. I'm going to make this a little smaller so I have some room to put my button in. Okay, now this is an external button. So, or going to an external link. So what you want to make sure you do before you come over here and hit the button icon. So this is the button icon that we're going to use. Before you click on this button icon, you need to actually navigate to the website. So we're going to go to the Van Gogh Gallery. Now, best practices when you are putting in an external website is to actually go to that external website, click in the address bar up top here, and you want to copy the address from the address bar. All right, so it's all highlighted there. I'm going to use my copy function here. I'm going to go back over to my website, and now I'm going to click on this button. So select button from the toolbar. We're going to call this Vincent, well, actually, we're going to call it Van Gogh Gallery. All right, now we have to put the link in. So the only links that pop up automatically for us are links that are inside of our website. So this is why you needed to have the external link already copied. So now all I have to do is Command V. I get my external link. I click on Insert. Okay, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger button here. Okay, now this is the part that I find slightly annoying, and that's because as I go to move it, it puts me inside of all of this. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Okay, it puts me inside of all of that. So you want to make sure you don't let go of it, because I'm going to have to go back up there and resize that. I want to drop it here right above that. And it resized it for me. Okay, so you may find some of this a little bit frustrating. Again, it just, as soon as I try to move it, it wants me to do that. Okay, so there it is. Now I got to scroll back up here and make sure, yeah, this needs to be set back over here. Okay, so that fixes that little mistake there. Okay, so those all look the same again. Okay, I can change this text a little bit. Maybe I didn't feel like it really was standing out quite as much there. So change the background here. Okay. If you put yours, and I said use the link to the right, and this is actually to the left. So if that's how you want to leave it, make sure you change that to say left. Okay, so this is the link to the Van Gogh Gallery. And did I have another bar in there? I did. I did put another little bar in there. So now one thing that I'm thinking right here, I'm kind of thinking that this, maybe they're not recognizing so much that this is a an assignment here. So I'm going to put in some more text. I want to put it right above here, okay? And I want this to be big. And I'm going to say, center that, okay? So that kind of makes that stand out a little bit more. And I'm going to go ahead and put a divider in, and I want it to be above the assignment. Okay, so the only thing left on this page is another button for navigation, simply to have them, so once they come down here, we're going to put in a button that allows them to go back to the home page. So I'm just going to click on button. We're going to name this home. This is a link already established. We just click on home right there. Insert, puts it here. Okay, again, this is going to be really annoying despite what I try to do. As soon as I try to move this more towards the center, all of that text that I've got up there, it makes me navigate through it. All right, I want this background to be similar to how I ended my home page with this dark color here. But I do want to show you here that you have some options for your button. So with this button right here, it can be filled, which means it's a solid color. We had the solid dark color on this one. When we changed the dark color background, we got white background. We can change it to just be an outline. So we have a white outline. I think that's a little bit harder to see. We can change it to just be text, which I think makes it not quite so recognizable as a button. So I prefer to have it filled. You, of course, have your edit button if you wanted to change the link. All right, and you have your trash can if you wanted to get completely rid of it. So our first subpage for the first day's assignment is complete. Let's go on and work on page 2. So I'm going to go to my pages over here in my toolbar to the right. I'm going to click on day 2. I don't want to change anything about the title here, but or the background on this one. I do want to go take a look at what I have for page 2. So on page 2, we have some text, and this text is actually the title of the video. And then we have some instructions here for the assignment. So day 2's assignment is actually to participate in a discussion on Schoology, considering these 2 questions which came directly from the video. So what you are learning to do on this particular page is to embed a video. So we're going to be embedding a video on page 2. So I'm going to go back to the page that I'm working on. All right. And right underneath here, I'm going to go over to Insert. So I want to start designing my page. I'm going to put in a text box. I want this to be heading. And this was called The Unexpected Math Behind Van Gogh's Starry Night. So we're going to change that text to say the same thing. The unexpected math. Starry Night. Okay, and I'll put some quotes on there. I'd like the background to be that dark emphasis, again, kind of trying to keep some similarity with what I had started my design with on the home page. And maybe I want to make this a little bit smaller here. Okay, so y'all can play with that a little bit until you find what you like. I think I want to go ahead and make this. We'll just leave it like that. Okay, now we have some text again, some directions. So we're going to put in another text box here. I'm going to go back to my resources page under day 2, which is where we have this information here. We're going to copy all of this text. So Command C or Control C, go back over to the website, paste, do a little editing here. Okay, I only want this top section to look a little bit different, so I'm going to change it to subheading. Okay, I'm going to change the background to be emphasis 1. And this section is ready to go. Okay, now we're going to talk about embedding a video. So when you embed a video, we're going to be using this embed button over on the right-hand side in the toolbar, but we need to get the embed code first. So I'm going to go over back to my resources page. Towards the top of this resources page is where I put the link for the video. So this is just the link to the YouTube video. If you just wanted them to go to an outside site, you could just put, this is basically just the address that you would find in the address bar. So what we want to do is actually click on it and go to the YouTube website. And because this is where we're going to get the...
Oh no, did your game just get interrupted by an update? It's switching time to a Chromebook that updates automatically. Switch to updates without interruption. Switch to Chromebook.
Okay, so once the video starts to play, you can choose to watch it if you want to. I'm going to pause it right now because what I want you to do is to get the embed code. So whether you're using YouTube or Vimeo or something else, there should usually be a share option somewhere. Okay, so you want to find this share option. You're going to click on share. Now you're going to see that we get basically just a web address here. This is not enough. The web address is simply going to take you to the external YouTube website, all right? What we want to do is we want to click on the embed button, okay? When we click on the embed button, we get all of this text over here, okay? This text is what allows us to put the video and have it be playable from the website. So we're going to click on copy from here. We're going to go back to our tab that has our website on it. And at this point, we're going to click on the embed button from our toolbar. Now again, it's giving us the option by URL. URL is simply the web address. We do not want that. We want to make sure that we are using embed every time in order to make this work. Okay, so you have that embed code already copied. We're going to paste it right there. And then we're going to click on next. And what you should see is what the video looks like. All right, so we're going to click on insert. And you're going to see that come into your web page. Now you do want to adjust this outline on the box here. The box that comes in is not big enough for the whole video. Okay. Now I have also found, I'm going to try moving this over. You see those little gray lines that are popping up? Okay. This is telling me right now with the two little darker blue lines at the bottom that I've centered it, but you can tell it's only based on the size of that box. Even if I resize this box with the videos, computer's getting a little tired. It's not necessarily going to find center. It looks very centered here, but after we publish the site and view it, it probably won't look like it's centered. So for perfectionists out there, which I tend to be, we're just going to have to, unfortunately, kind of live with it. All right, so I have my text, I have my video here, and what I have left then is just to create the link. Oops. Create the link back to the home page. Okay, so once that is embedded, we're going to add a button. This is going to be home. The link is going to be home. Click on insert. Since we don't have that collapsible text, it's not going to move around on us a whole bunch. And we'll change this to the darker emphasis. Again, that kind of keeps some consistency in design on our web page. All right, so this was our day 2, subpage 2. Going to go over to subpages. We're going to look at day 3. Okay, we're going to design day 3. And if I look back over here at the page that we are trying to recreate, oops. On this page, we are going to be working with manipulating some pictures. So we'll kind of do a little bit more playing with resizing. We're going to use the cropping and the uncropping. This right here is just going to be an external link, which we've already done. And then, of course, ending with that home button that we've been putting in. Okay, so we go over back to our page that we're working on. There. We're looking at pages right here. We want to click on insert. We're going to start with a text box. And this is, again, just to kind of keep the design style similar. I'll call it Japanism. I'm going to change this to emphasis 2. Now, I didn't put this on the other site, but this might be a good place to put it. So if you go back to your resources and scroll down onto the page where we have some information on Japanism, I have a definition here. I didn't put it on my original site, but I'm going to go ahead and put it in here now. Okay, so I'm going back. I copied it. I'm below. I've hit the return key, and now I'm still within the same text box. I'm going to paste. And if I want them to read it, but I don't want it to be really big, there's also this option for small. I think the students can probably read that. That just gives you, a different look for the text, makes this more reasonable for having it since I already have it up there. Okay, so I'm going to make that new kind of little adjustment there. All right, so now we need to go in and we are going to add some pictures. I'm going to show you a little bit different way of adding the pictures here. So what I had on here was, let's see, add some text. Yeah, let's go ahead and put the text in first. All right, so we're going to put in another text box. And then go back over here to my resources. And I'm going to scroll down to, we're on day 3. I'm going to copy that text there, go back to my website, paste it in there. Let's format this, and I want it to be the grayed out background. I also want to put in a button that is a direct link, so I'm going to click the button, and I need to go back yet. Remember, you need to make sure that you have the website. So I want to go back to my resources, and if I look back up here where Japanism, where these pictures are, this is the website right here that we want to go to. And again, good practice is to actually go to the website. Okay, and this is a nice interactive website, and we're going to copy the web address. I'm going to copy that web address. I'm going to go back to my web page. Now I can click on the button, and this is going to be Van Gogh and Japanism. And again, these are the easy ones within our website, but we have that external link. So I'm going to paste that and click on Insert. Okay. Now for this particular one, I'm going to center it, and I want it to be outlined. And then I'm going to change the background to be emphasis, so these will kind of match up and look like they go together here. All right, so now let's work with those pictures. So on my website that we're trying to make look similar, I've got 2 pictures here, and I have the text to go with it. So we're going to work with manipulating the pictures. And I'm going to show you a little bit different way to bring them in. So I'm going to use this web layout right here that has 2 pictures and some text underneath. And I put that in. Come over here and click. Now, I could do like I've normally done and click on the plus sign, and I have these options to select from the drive. Now, one of the nice things is that if you're creating a website, if you did go out and create this resources page where you just started copying and pasting items that you know you wanted to put in there, text and things that you wanted to write. So I also had put some of the pictures in here. This right here is a picture I want on my website. So if I select this picture, I know it's selected because it has these blue boxes all around it, and I Command C, copy, just like I've been copying everything else. Go back over here to my page. As long as I'm in it won't work right here, but as long as I have just this placeholder selected and do a paste, Command V, another easy way to put the picture in. Now, you won't see that option there. If you actually click on this plus sign, you've got to go and find it, okay? But if you want to, if you've already collected some of these resources, let's go do this other one. I'm going to click on this Japanese woman here. I've got my 4 blue boxes. Command C to copy it. Come back over to my website. Make sure that all I've selected is that placeholder. Command V for paste. And there it is. Okay. Now, the buttons that you have up here for editing this picture. The first one is crop. Okay. So if I click on crop, what it's going to do is it essentially is keeping the placeholder the same size, but it allows me to maneuver what part of the picture I would want to be in there. And if I move this scroll bar to zoom in, okay, that's not really what I want to do. Okay, what I want to do is uncrop. When I click on that uncrop button, it resizes the placeholder box to include the entire picture that I copied and pasted. Okay, so I want to do that. I want to uncrop both of these images. Now, as I've uncropped them, you'll see that they are different heights. I would like for them to be the same height. The easiest way to do that is to click on just the image, use one of the corner selections, and try to maneuver it to be about the same size. Okay. Now, you can see the picture changing a little bit. It's not changing the ratio of the picture. It's deciding how much of the picture is actually showing. Okay, so if you look here, I've got something that's really pretty close to the same height. But if I go to the picture itself and I click on uncrop, you'll see that in order to fit the whole picture in there with the width that I created, it adjusted that size a little bit. You can spend a lot of time trying to get the entire picture in there and having it be the same height. Or just try to get it really close, knowing that you may have clipped off some of the edges here. All right. Now, I've got a lot of empty space over here on the right, so I want to just move this over a little bit. And you'll notice that the text portions of this that are attached to that picture are moving with it. All right, so now I want to put the text in there, and I've got the text already for you on that resources page. So I'm going to copy that text right there. Go back over to my page. Now, depending upon how you've clicked into this box will depend upon how the text is pasted and formatted. So you'll notice that when I clicked in there, I've got this big cursor. So it actually pasted this text as heading. All right, and that's fine. Sometimes and I'll show you another way here in just a moment. But all I want in this portion is the title. I want to have smaller this information here. So I'm going to copy that down here and paste. Now you'll notice since I copied that formatting, it pasted that formatting. So you may have to just go back and play with a little bit of this to get it the way you want. Okay. That's all I want there. This one, I want just the title. So I'm going to select all of this part and get rid of it. Okay. So there is that text that I'm happy with for now. I'm going to go back over here to my resources page and get the text for the courtesan. And I'm going to copy it and go back over to my website and click here. Now, if for some reason I had entered or done something which I've accidentally done before, and I paste here, you'll notice that the text came in without that heading format. Okay, again, we can just go back in and do all that editing. So I want to take this part of the text out and place it as smaller text at the bottom. And then I'm going to come back up here and delete all of that. And put in, and then we'll have to change this to heading, I believe that was. Okay, and I think I would like that to be centered. I think I would like this one to be centered. Okay, so there we have our text and our pictures that kind of match. We're going to change the background for this section to just a regular emphasis. All right, and the last thing to add on this page is the button. And again, this button is going back home. want to edit that button. Move it to the center. Change the background to emphasis. Okay. And that's all done there. Okay, now we're going to go on and make our fourth subpage and last page. So we're going to navigate over to Pages in our toolbar. Click on the last subpage there. And our last page is going to simply have a picture, a couple of pictures, and some text. All right, so this is going to, going to go back over to our actual page, go to Insert on our toolbar. We're going to put in a section of text, which we are going to call this Conceptual Artwork. I'm going to change that to a heading and change the background to more of an emphasis, and let's center it. All right. And we want two parts to this. We want some text and we want a picture. So in this case, what I'm going to demonstrate is kind of just moving around some of that information instead of having it all in line for us, because you can do a lot of moving around. So we know that we want a text box, all right? And we also know that we want an image, all right? So instead of clicking image here, which would make me already have to put it in, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to use this placeholder. Okay, so that placeholder, very much like the pre-designed things that we had in the layouts. So in this case, what I want to do is I want to click and I want to drag it up here to be in the section with the text. And you'll notice I have the option of putting it underneath the text, or make sure I just click on it again. I can put it above, or I can move it. You'll see that long dark blue line to the right. I'm going to put it there. All right. So right now I can manipulate this a little bit before I put anything in. All right. I can make this a bigger text, a bigger picture placeholder area, determine what I want it to look like. I could decide that I want it on the other side of the text. So what I've done on my page, I actually have the image on the left and my requirements on the right. So going back to my, you also notice there were two different types of text. So right here, let's see, do I have a, I don't have a duplicate section here, but I can insert another text box. Okay, so here's another text box. I can grab it from here, but that's going to move the entire section, all right? I don't want to do that. But notice I have those same little sets of gray buttons, little dots there. So if I click on that and I drag it, now I'm just moving the text. Okay, so I have now two pieces of text. That piece went away at the bottom here. Okay. So one of these I want to be more of a heading, okay, and the other one's going to be regular text. So this heading is requirements. Okay. And you may want to edit this page for yourself if you choose to actually use this with your students to fit more of your personal requirements for the assignment. All right, so for right now, we're going to call that requirements, and I'm going to come over to my resources page, and I'm going to scroll down to the fourth day text here and copy the first paragraph. Go over to my favorite artist and paste that. Okay, change my formatting there, right? And now I want to insert a picture. So again, I can I'm going to go to select an image from my drive, changes my toolbox over here. This is where you want to navigate to the pictures and the images within that shared file. And here's where we're going to use the conceptual images. So this is where you can put in whichever one you want. I had put in the thinking man, but the other one that I also really liked was this thinking girl. And I want the whole image to be visible, so I want to click on the uncrop button here. Okay, but I don't want this much empty space. And when I'm looking at the site that I'm basing this on, I know that I'm not really going to, you know, this is all the text that I have inside this one little section. So what I want to do here is adjust the size of this image. And I'm going to move it over. Okay, and let's see if I can make it a... Now this is where I might want to use crop. Okay, so on crop, I can enlarge this a little bit and maybe push it up a little bit so that I get the essence of the idea without using up quite as much space there. And change my background to emphasis 1. Okay, so this is that second section there. All right, so I have a third section. And in this one, I put in kind of a sketchbook rubric. I am considering changing this out with a picture of what the layout might look like. For right now, I'm just going to leave it with this picture. You can edit that with whatever you would like if you have something better you'd like to put in there. But I want to finish giving them the directions here, because this is the kind of the meat of the assignment, really using the information they've learned to apply it to a project. And the reason this is called conceptual is, again, because if we're doing a lot of online, given our situation right now and our students don't have the necessary media that they might want to use, then a lot of times, you know, the hardest part, not necessarily the longest part, but the hardest part is a lot of times actually just coming up with a good concept and really pushing yourself to develop it and thinking about any kind of problems that might come along and trying to solve them in advance. So in order for this to truly be something that would take several days, the students will have to be willing to really take the time to develop a concept. Just having a really quick slap together sketch and idea would not be acceptable, especially if we're using it for more of a project type grade. I would want something that would be really well developed, and if at some point they were able to have the materials or we were back in the classroom, they would have that opportunity to actually create it then. But they'd only have to do the creation part, not the planning part. All right, so we're going to put this bottom part down in there, and then of course our last link to the home page. So coming back over here to our favorite artist web page that we're actually working on, we are going to be again, just like we did before, putting in a text box, and we are going to add a placeholder. Okay, and in this case, our placeholder, we'll go ahead and put it where we want it, and that is going to be to the left of our text. And actually, no, I want it to the right of the text. So let's move that to the right. Okay, and I'm going to enlarge that. All right. And just like here, I'm going to have two text parts. So I'm going to grab just the text box there and add it. Okay, and I'm going to go back over to my resources that I've created. And I'm going to copy both of these paragraphs. Come back over to the website I'm designing. This goes in the bottom section. All right, fix your editing there, your formatting. And we called this Creating the Concept in Your Sketchbook. So I'm going to title this Creating the Concept in Your Sketchbook. Formatting as far as caps doesn't matter because I'm going to change this to be a heading. I'm going to change this to be centered. I'm going to change my background to be emphasis 1. And now I'm going to put in an image. I'm going to do it from my drive. I'm going to look in my recent this time. Just a reminder, you've got several different places you can go here. So here's my sketchbook rubric that I put in. So I'm going to insert that. I do not want it cropped. Okay. I can change the size of it though. Maybe this is just a little too big. I don't need it that big. Maybe I want to move it over just a little bit and, you know, give some more space for this text here. You'll notice that when I adjusted that text, it also adjusted the one at the top because these two are essentially connected together. Okay. So I have the bottom portion of this assignment, and the last thing is to insert our return to home page button. So we're calling it home. Our link is to the home page. Click on insert, adjust the size of the button, move it to the center, change your background to emphasis 2 to complete the kind of visual look of the website. All right. And now I'm going to go back to talking about the navigation. All right. So just like I easily added the home button here, I could, if I wanted to, add more buttons down here at the bottom to navigate to all the different pages. But I have that up here. Okay. Now, maybe you don't want your students, easily navigating between all of this. Maybe you want them to always have to go back to this home page and see the syllabus and have to, you know that it's there and maybe look over it for that extra information. So let's go back and look at the pages. So if you don't want this navigation here, if you want them to simply use these buttons and return to the home page using the home page button, then if you look on these sub pages, so we've gone to, on our toolbar here on the right, we've gone to pages, so we can see that we've got 5 pages. We've got our home page, and we've got our 4 sub pages that are all linked here on the home page. So these 3 little dots that are to the far right, if I click on that and I say hide from navigation. So what's going to happen up here? Now I only have the other 3. The day 1 is gone. So if I do, and you'll notice that it has the little bar going through it, that tells you that it's not showing up in the navigation. So if I hide all of these from navigation here by going to those 3 little buttons and clicking hide from navigation, okay, you'll notice that home disappeared. All right, because you're on the home page. There is no other link back to it. We have nothing underneath here. Right now, I can still, in my editing phase of this, I can still click and I can go, because I'm in the editing portion of it, and I can view all of these, and I can see that I've got a home button. I mean, that would be something that would be very important, to make sure that you actually have a home button on everything here, which we do. One other important thing is to do before we do the very last step of publishing our website is going to be to go and preview your website. All right. And from whatever page you're on, when you click preview, that's what it takes you to. So we'll go to home here. That we've already checked this, but we can click on the links to see that they take us where they want us to take us. We can click back on the home page, see that it takes us back to the home. So this is where you would check to make sure that all of your links are actually active and going where you want them to go. The most important links to probably check are going to be the ones that take you to an outside website. So we had links on day one that went to an outside website. So you probably want to check that link. That does open up a new tab up here and redirect us to the Vincent van Gogh Gallery. So I'm going to close that tab. All right. And then on day 3, so I'm going to go back home and I'm going to click on day 3 here. And we had an outside link here. Okay. So we are going to make sure that we actually got to that link. So these 2 links are good. All right. So we're done previewing here. And the last step is to publish. All right. So we're going to click on this publish button in the upper right-hand corner. And you'll notice that it automatically will try to populate it with what you named your site. Okay. And it's showing you right underneath here the web address for this website. Okay. Now you can change this here. In fact, you will find that if you name it, if the name's already been taken, you'll have to come up with something else. So I believe my original one, I changed it to be, so I'll just show you that here. I changed this to be MFA. And it doesn't like underscore, so dash, and I put Van Gogh. You'll notice I've already named one that. I can't use it, it's already taken. So I could then change this to practice. Because this was my practice one. All right. And for you, you could maybe, you know, this is, maybe I put my school here on it, just something to make it different when you do this. Okay, so I'm going to leave this at practice. Okay, you'll notice then, you know, if you have your own domain, there are the options. Having your own domain means that you are probably paying a monthly or yearly fee for a specific text for your domain. You can manage who sees your site. Since this is something that I want all of you to be able to see, right now anybody with this web address can view my site. Now, if I click on manage here, I can have it to be just certain people and groups. I can change that kind of stuff. But right now, I'm simply going to leave this as anyone can do this. Okay, you can have it so that search engines don't have it show up, whatever. As for right now, as far as viewing the site, that's all that this does. It does not give people permission to in any way edit your site. It just means that anybody can go and look at it, right? So as soon as I hit publish, okay, so it's been successfully published. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to go to view published site. It's going to open up a new window. All right, and I hit on that from that third page I was on. So if you look here, I clicked on that home page. This is what the website looks like on my computer. And if you look up here in the address bar, this is the address for your website. So if you're wanting to assign this website and you're using Schoology or another online learning platform, you would copy this website address and give the link to the students within the assignment on your learning platform. And that would give them the ability to come and look at this assignment. Anybody, because of those preferences that we had on there, anybody can look at this assignment, can link to the assignments. All right, so there you have it. You have now created your first website. We've touched on a lot of the variety of things that you have over here in this toolbar. And really, as you're working, I can go back at this point. Just because I have published it doesn't mean that I can't go back and make some changes. The important thing is that anytime you make a change, you have to go back and publish it again. All right, because those changes will not be able to be seen by the people looking at the website until you publish it. So, all right, I hope y'all have enjoyed this and that has been helpful, and good luck making your first website.